All right, good afternoon, everybody, and good morning. This is Jamie Wyatt from Evosys. We're going to get started today. Thank you for your time and attendance today. So today's speakers, I'll give a quick introduction. Again, I'm Jamie Wyatt. I have with me two gentlemen that are going to be speaking today. Matthew Savard, who's the Director of Analytics, our guest speaker from Adventist Health. And I'll let Matt introduce himself here in a moment, as well as Harshal Shah. He's our Assistant Vice President for Healthcare and a deep costing and enterprise performance management expert. And I'll let Harshal introduce himself momentarily. So, Matt, why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Matthew Savard, Director of Analytics with Adventist Health. I've been part of the Adventist Health team for just over 3 years now. I work in the data and analytics space. My background is in finance. Spent some time recently with our FP&A group, overseeing management reporting, cost accounting, and productivity reporting. Been working on a lot of implementations, and really excited to be with you guys today and talk about what we've done at Adventist Health over the past 3 years and what we see coming in the future. So thank you for having me today.
And thank you for doing this, Matthew. We greatly appreciate it. Harshal, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Good morning, everyone. My name is Harshal Shah. I am the solution consultant working with Evosys. So I was part of the multiple implementation of the decision support solution for the different healthcare organization. And I'm happy to be part of this webinar and talking about the different set of solution that we have, and that can help you in terms of managing overall your healthcare organization and decisions around it. So thank you, and thanks for joining the webinar.
Thanks, Harshal. So as we move on and start talk a little bit about our agenda today, I did want to cover a couple of basic points. Phones will be on mute. If you have any questions, there is the ability in the menu in the control panel to enter your questions. We'll cover those either during the webinar if it's appropriate, or we will have a Q&A session at the end today. So please don't hesitate to send on your questions. So we'll talk a little bit about who Evosys is if you don't know us. But we're going to spend the majority of our time today with Matthew and have Matthew talk about Adventist Health and their success story, because they've done some really, really awesome things with the solution and have been able to take advantage of what they need out of the system. We'll talk a little bit about what organizations are looking for and go through an overview of the decision support costing solution. And again, we'll touch upon our Q&A at the end. So as we move on and talk a little bit about Evosys, and we're not going to spend a great deal of time, but just a couple of critical points. First off, Evosys is a global implementation partner of Oracle Cloud. We're a premier partner. We've done over 1,000 cloud implementations, 150 of those within healthcare organizations. We work across all of the specializations and pillars of Oracle. So the typical things that we see in healthcare, whether it be ERP or HCM, EPM costing, supply chain management, and the like. We also have a managed services component, so we can help an organization post go live in managing their solutions moving forward. One of our key approaches, and we'll talk a lot about that today as we get into this, is our ability to develop accelerators. And we've developed a number of accelerators within healthcare, specifically of which you will see some of today around costing and decision support. So it's really focus of our organization to deliver on those accelerators and help organizations moving forward. So when we talk about those challenges that those organizations we commonly talk to are experiencing as we move to the next slide, what we're starting to see and we hear all the time, right, is that we talk about recognition within in Oracle and why that's important for our healthcare organizations and what we bring to the table. So we have the expertise and bring to the table both ERP as well as HCM and the ERPM, which includes EPM costing solutions. So we have a great deal of recognition within Oracle. Also, Gartner recognizes us as a growing and developing partner within the Oracle realm. And one of the things you'll notice is those that are up and to the right in the Magic Quadrants are really more of those management consulting organizations. And we're moving more and more resources to help with that change management component. So as we talk about that, and I jumped in a little early here a moment ago, talk about some of the challenges healthcare organizations are experiencing. I mean, I don't think it's a surprise for anybody that organizations continue to manage through increased cost pressures. Those have a direct impact on bad debt from seeing results there. Revenue impacts, we were talking before we kicked off the webinar a little bit. And really, if you look at what's going on with COVID-19 and the impact and implications across the marketplace, it really does have an impact, whether it be the cost pressures, a negative outlook, and really the challenges of how do you bill and how do you code for those things. So as we talk about that portfolio and how you start to address more and more of that environment, we see a healthcare organization utilizing the Oracle EPM solution, and particularly the costing decision support solution, to do a number of things. And Matthew and Harshal will talk about these. Obviously, healthcare analytics is at the core, but we see more and more organizations taking advantage of the solution to do that COVID-19 modeling and identify short-term and longer-term implications, looking at their payer contracts and management and reimbursement modeling under those as far as the COVID-19 implications, as well as the broader implications, and really that calculation down to that patient DRG physician level from a profitability and cost standpoint. Organizations recognize that need to get really deeper down into the business and better understand. We can also deliver things around 340B reporting and population health analysis, just as a couple of other examples. What we're really saying here is the power and the scope of what this decision support solution can deliver to a healthcare organization is astounding and can really help the business drive to meet some of today's and our future challenges. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Matthew. He's actually going to talk about some of those challenges and what they've done to address them. Matthew.
Thanks, Jamie. All right, so let's jump right into our first slide. I want to give a quick introduction to the company I work with. You can see on the slide here, our mission statement is living God's love by inspiring health, wholeness, and hope. The mission statement speaks directly to our focus on whole person care. We desire not only for our patients to experience physical health, but also hope and spiritual fulfillment. We operate 23 acute care hospitals across Oregon, Hawaii, and California, with most of those locations being in California. In those 23 facilities, we have over 3,500 patient beds. Our workforce is over 37,000, which includes physicians, nurses, health professionals, volunteers, and a few hundred finance professionals such as myself. We also operate 8 home hospice agencies, providing 75,000 hospice care days annually, as well as 15 home health agencies, providing over 200,000 home visits each year. We also run one of the largest rural health systems in the nation, with over 68 clinics providing care to rural communities across our service area. In total, we operate nearly 300 clinics with over 1,200 providers offering 54 different specialties. So jumping into where we were, back one slide, please. When I joined the company in 2017, we were in the middle of what we like to refer to as our business transformation. This transformation involved adopting a centralized shared service delivery model for our finance and HR functions. It also involved adoption of new technology to support the work that these groups were doing. Some of you may recognize that soothing green screen to the right-hand side here. If you don't, this is AS400. This is just one example of the technology we had in place and have been using for over 20 years. We had put AS400 in place in our organization in the 1980s. Great platform, but feeling like it may be time for something a little more modern. So our cost accounting application, which we're going to talk in detail about today, was a hosted application, and due to server limitations, we were actually 3 annual patch releases behind on adopting the latest updates. So because of the limitations of our aging infrastructure, we weren't able to take advantage of most recent functionality from the existing software vendors. These are a couple of the limiting factors that resulted in us pursuing a cloud-first approach as we went into the software selection process that was part of our business transformation. Given where we were coming from and our strategic vision for the future, we have placed a high priority on selecting new cloud-based business applications. We wanted these business applications to be easily scalable, and an emphasis on easy, because I think we all understand that just about anything is scalable with the right amount of effort and investment. But what we were particularly interested in is having low barriers to growth from a cost perspective, but also from the ability to grow the solutions with internal talent. We anticipated ongoing growth through partnerships and acquisitions, so we were also looking for software that could grow with our organization into the future. And we were also looking for, again, a solution with a modern user interface and a consistent user experience across all our applications. So back to our business transformation journey slide. All right, thank you. So outcome of that selection process was the adoption of Oracle Fusion ERP and HCM. You can see from the timeline here, we went live with those solutions in 2017 and 2018. Subsequent to that selection, we chose PBCS for our annual planning application. And then next up was the selection of the PCMCS cost accounting solution to replace our legacy solution. As part of that PCMCS cost accounting solution, we also adopted Oracle Analytics Cloud, or OAC, as our primary platform for supporting financial reporting and analytics across the organization. Subsequent to that, we also implemented some other tool sets here. I'll run through them quick just so you get an idea of the other applications we've used in conjunction with these. So you have EPRCS for management reporting. We've layered that over our OAC environment. We have EDM to manage the data hierarchies across our other applications, including OAC and PBCS. And then late in 2019, we migrated our entire enterprise data warehouse onto OCI. So we're all together in the cloud with all of our data at this point. So, all right, so why did we select Oracle PCMCS, or Profitability and Cost Management? We went through a 6-month selection process, which was much longer than I anticipated when I started in this role. We evaluated several different vendors, including McKesson, EPSI, and Strata. We also had concerns that we wanted to address about our EDW capacity. As I mentioned in the previous slide, we were on a journey to the cloud for our EDW, but we hadn't completed that at the point of selecting our solution. So we considered what the existing infrastructure could support. And that also led to our selection of OAC, as I mentioned. So in the end, we selected PCMCS and OAC because of the 5-year cost of ownership from implementation to annual licensing. This was the most cost-effective solution for us. We also appreciated the easy scalability at minimal additional cost that the tools offered. As I mentioned earlier, we had a cloud-first strategy, and this was one of the products that was farthest along in its cloud development. We were looking for a modern reporting solution and then the integrated tool set that was consistent with the other Oracle Cloud products that we'd already adopted was also important to us to allow team members to get up to speed with the new tools quickly. So once we'd selected our application, our chosen solution, we moved to selection of the partner that we wanted to work with on implementation. As part of that process, we reviewed proposals from multiple industry-leading partners, several of which we had worked with before and continue to work with as well. But in the end, we selected Evosys based on several different factors. We had received a recommendation from the Oracle product engineer for PCMCS. We were impressed with Evosys's background in implementing this cost accounting solution specific to healthcare, which was a key consideration for us given the nuances of doing costing in a healthcare environment. We also were very impressed with the pre-developed reporting content that Evosys was able to show us with their large team and diverse experience, and the value of that diverse team of resources proved out through the project inevitably in implementations. As you can see, we've done several. We always encounter something that we didn't anticipate when we started the journey. Evosys was able to bring that diverse experience and large team to bear against some of those challenges as we went through our implementation. And last but not least, the competitive pricing model that Evosys was able to offer us. So to date, from our PCMCS implementation, one of the primary benefits our organization has realized is broader reliance on the data we provide from our cost accounting team. With our old solution, we had routine questions about the results of our allocation process that our team was not able to address given the complexity of the application that we were using previously. So we've really benefited from the ability to understand the process end to end, and that confidence that our team has also been shared by the customers that we have internally for the data sets. We are able to produce routine service line reports that our executives across the company rely on and use regularly. They use these type of reports to evaluate new business development opportunities, understand the expected impact on the strategic investments we're making across our operations, as well as evaluate the financial impact of our community wellness investments. So as I mentioned earlier, we're focused on whole person care. And consistent with that, we have a commitment we make to our communities and especially our rural and underserved populations, where we offer programs that support preventative care to serve those at-risk populations. We've recently started using the cost accounting tools as a way to explore and evaluate what financial impact we're seeing from these programs we offer. And we do that by looking at the historical encounter activity that we have for these populations. And then post-intervention, we look at the trend going forward for those same populations to see what the impact is from avoidance of care and providing the appropriate level of care to some of these at-risk populations. So that's been exciting to apply the data in that way. We've also seen significant growth in the area of self-service analytics, and we're continuing to push forward with that across our organization. It's a slow process, but I feel like we have a solid foundation to build on as we move forward. And as we had hoped, we have also been able to demonstrate our team's ability to successfully integrate new facilities into the platform. So we brought on a fairly large hospital, and as soon as they were able to come onto our clinical systems, we were able to bring them into the cost accounting process in a very short period of time without any outside support or additional cost from a software perspective. So overall, very happy with the ability to scale the tool and with the confidence we have in the outcome. So talk a little bit more about what we see as our next opportunities. So going forward, already in 2020, I talked a little bit about our migration of our classic environments. So when we brought these solutions up back in 2018, we brought the OAC classic environment up. Once we had migrated our EDW to the cloud, we did a migration to bring those BI, dashboard, SBase, and database applications that we had supporting cost accounting and management reporting into the new Gen 2 OCI infrastructure. This allows us to leverage additional auto-scaling and autonomous features for both the analytics that we have, as well as the database supporting the analytics platforms. And it also brings our entire EDW into the cloud. So we have synergy. We don't have to move data between on-prem and cloud. And we're just starting to expand into that and explore the new opportunities we have with that shared data set. In Q3 of this year, we went live with something we're pretty excited about. It's our new rolling quarterly forecast application in PBCS. We expect this will further shorten our annual planning process and provide us with the ability to respond quickly to changing business situations such as COVID with a plan that matches the current operating environment. So we've just went live with that recently. We were able to complete that project from initial development to end user adoption in just over 8 months for our entire organization. So we're looking forward now to using that as the foundation of our future planning cycles. Starting right now, we're getting ready to roll into our 2021 planning cycle, and we'll be using that quarterly forecasting process as the seeding of the budget for 2021. We'll also continue to update that forecast on a monthly basis going forward with quarterly emphasis on a little bit deeper dive into that process. So we're also currently working on several other projects, including capital reporting and continuing to push our cost accounting solution further into the real-time and direct costing areas. Right now, we're looking at using some of our clinical data sets to apply cost directly to the activities that are driving the expense in the clinical space. We're focused on labor costs, as that's a large chunk of our total cost, and really excited to test out the flexibility of the applications that we've put in place to continue to refine and develop the processes for costing going forward. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Harshal to do a demo of some of the tools we've been using.
Great, thank you so much, Matthew, for sharing your journey. Yeah, so as Matthew said, what we'll do, and we'll give you a quick glimpses of the set of reports that we have already predefined and which Adventist has leveraged. So to start the reporting cycle, absolutely, Adventist team had tweaked their reports as per their requirement, but yeah, it was a good starting point for them to understand what kind of reports they should look at and what are available out of the box. So let me quickly show you the set of reports that we have available, and again it contains the reporting around costing, planning, budgeting, forecasting. You have the reimbursement modeling. So we'll quickly talk on those fronts. So Jamie, quick check. Can you see my application screen which says Healthcare Analytics?
Yes, I can. You're all good.
Okay, correct. So yeah, Now, this is a kind of, a set of predefined analytics which we have developed. So as you see, you have the high level KPIs, and then you have the reporting around different set of areas. So if you want to run the analysis around your revenue cycle, you have the analysis around that. What is most important and relevant for today's conversation is to look at the profitability analysis. It has the reporting around your costing by specialty, by TRG, by physician. So as you see, this is kind of a predefined set of uh, reports. You can have a quick comparison across your different MSDRGs, different specialty, and all these reports are interactive. So if you want to go down into a specific area, you can actually go down right from the top to the encounter level. And you can look at this information by different categories. So now what these charts are showing me are the number of cases. But let's say at the same time, if you have multiple hospital and if you want to do a quick analysis of your average length of stay, you can just change this radio button to average length of stay, and the system will update all this information. You can also look at this information by payer group, and all this information is extremely useful in the decision making for you guys. This information comes from the various systems. So you, instead of you going to multiple systems, so let's say for you to look at average length of stay, if you're going to your HI rather than going to HIS, and for financials going to your ERP system, you will have a single solution from where you will be able to see all this information. You can further go down and look at your profitability analysis by different specialities. So and again, this is a quick waterfall chart giving you a quick high-level understanding of how your overall net margin looks like across multiple specialty. I can look at by payer group as well. So if I, and let's say I want to take out certain areas, so I just click on this piece and system. You can further do that analysis. I want to exclude certain set of department. I just click or deselect a few of the items, and the analysis which I have is the rest of the departments. So I can slice and dice the information as per my need. And this is a quick analysis where you can actually see the crux of the information. So all these are your different specialty business units. These are the number of cases, the CMA index, what's the gross revenue, what's your net revenue, and all this, the cost information which you see, it's allocated costed. So this cost information is after allocating the overhead cost, support cost, and made up from the cost coming from the charge level. The best part is you can actually go down into the details of the cases. So this is a summary level, and if you want to do a further analysis of the information, you can actually go down to the DRG level, and from the DRG you can further go down into the encounter level. So all this information again can be secured based on the roles and responsibility that your organization has. And here, let's say after looking at this particular encounter patient number, if you want to further drill it down and see how this total charge quantity is made up of, you can further go down and you can see all the CTM description that has been applied on that particular patient. And not only this, so this is again not the last level. You can further drill it down and see the component of the cost, that if this particular procedure is costing $1,300, how that $1,300 are made up of. And from here you can look at how much salary and wages is uh, component is, professional fees, so on and so forth. So this way, you can actually go down to the lowest level of patient encounter, and from the cost perspective, you can actually look at the composition of the total cost that has been charged on for a specific CDM line item. So as you see, it's pretty much straightforward. All this information, again, you do not need to upload anything. This all information comes from the different systems. So whether you have Epic or Cerner or Allscripts or any other medical system, or let's say different ERP, like Adventist is using Oracle ERP, but let's say if you are using PeopleSoft or JDE or probably Info Lawson, doesn't matter. All this information can be integrated within this EPM set of applications, and you can get this access to this reports for your decision support kind of an analysis. You can do a quick analysis of your payer contracts as well. So let's say if you want to do a quick analysis that how your payers are performing in terms of your reimbursement, you can look at this information. You can bring all these payers in here, look at the information on how much you are getting reimbursed from each set of payer. You can compare a side by physician side by side. So I'm not, again, a certain healthcare system finds this useful, certain healthcare system doesn't use this. But if you want to compare that a one specific, let's say heart surgery is being performed by 4 different physicians, you may want to compare the cost, every length of stay for each physician, just to have a quick analysis of the performance and the cost spent by a different physician on the similar set of procedures. You can also do a quick what if analysis. So let's say I mean, contract management is again an important part of the solution. So, if I deviate a bit from the costing, but and concentrate on the contract management, and let's say again, you will have a different contracts with your payers, and reimbursement or revenue depends on how much you are getting reimbursed from each set of payer. So let's say if you want to negotiate the contract and you want to see how I'm performing in terms of reimbursement. So let's say this is my payer Aetna, and these are my, let's say, 4 different payer. Now for Aetna, this is how I'm actually being paid in terms of reimbursement. Now let's say I want to target my net margin to, let's say, 55%. Sorry. So effectively, this is kind of change in the reimbursement I would need to negotiate or start negotiating with each this kind of specialty. So that kind of a quick what if analysis you can do based on how much reimbursement you want, or for how long you want to negotiate the contract for. So this is a quick what if analysis you can do. There is a payer neutral revenue. So if you have a facility into multiple locations, and the reimbursement rate for the same procedures or services are different from the same payer, you can do a PNR, a kind of an analysis within the application. So again, all this analysis is available at a central place, and you do not need to worry about going into the different application just to perform different set of tasks. There is a lot of calculations which are predefined to get to your result. So unlike the other set of implementation where before you get to see all this information, there has to be a lot of time spent on the implementation to build this from the scratch. We have this available readily. So effectively, if you're comfortable using this set of data structure or the reporting, we can actually pull in the information in our solution model, and you can start looking at this charts and tables with your specific data, and that way you will get a faster visibility to your to your data, and you can start making the decision a bit much faster rather than waiting for a year to get the implementation over. Again, we'll be more than happy. So if you are interested in looking at productivity analysis or workforce kind of analysis, we are more than happy to do a kind of a detailed demo for you. But in the interest of time, I'll quickly move into the presentation. Feel free to write any question. I'll take the questions at the end. But yeah, that was the key highlight of the solution, or probably reporting piece of the solution. And what you get as part of the offering that we have is, as Matthew mentioned, self-service reporting, which is extremely crucial. And rather than people coming and asking different set of people to provide reports, making reports self-serviced with the data on which they have confidence is extremely important. And that's what you get, once you have this solution implemented. The data is more accurate since there is no intermediary, making changes in the data coming directly from the source systems and getting allocated automatically in the application. The confidence of the users increases on the data. Uh, we talked about contract negotiation. Since you will have a visibility of the cost per DRG level, per patient encounter level, per probably charge level, and that way you can that gives you a lot of good information doing some effective negotiation with the payer. Single platform, so again, no need to go to ERP to look at financial information, to let's say your revenue management system to look at your billing information. All your information, or rather your HR system for your workforce information, all this is available in the central application. And all these reports, basically, if you want to drill it back to your source application, there is possibility in the EPM application where you can actually drill down to your GL to look at the journals behind the financial data. And then we talked about COVID-19 kind of an analysis. So there is a scenario modeling functionality which we can leverage, and you can do a quick real-time EBITDA analysis on and look at the DRG level costing, or patient level, or even budgeting of multiple scenarios. So this is a kind of a quick set of benefits that you'll get with the DSS solution. Now, this is something which we have encountered most of the executives asking, where they do not want to get into the application, look at the information. They need certain key information on a regular basis and on a real-time basis. So rather than opening up the application, and clicking to 10 different places, we have developed a kind of a digital assistance. You can call it chatbot, which works on Siri, Alexa, a Google Assistant, wherein it actually picks the information from the application. So let's say if I want to look at some PNL analysis, now I can just do that. I can type it in here. I want to look at some charts, and system will start asking me what kind of charts you want to look at. I'll say PNL analysis. I want to look at quarter on quarter revenue, and for which facility I want to look at, or which entity I want to look at, and that's it. Boom, you'll have the information. And again, this is a real-time information, so whatever you see in the application, you will see on your mobile. So you do not need to run any ETLs, or need to develop some kind of a data warehouse to make this available. And this is where most of our customers are leveraging this kind of advanced technology for their executives. As I said, the kind of execution that we'll have is kind of a bit of faster execution. Times are gone where we used to take the on-premise application used to take a kind of a year or two to implement the entire costing piece, or probably decision support piece. These things have become faster, and prime reason is because we have the predefined model. So we are not going to come to you or ask that what are your requirements. We know what are your requirements. We have the database tables available. We have the calculations rules predefined. We have the reporting outcome ready to use. What we actually do is come show you the kind of calculations, show you the kind of reports, and then ask whether this works for you, or you want tweaks in this kind of reports. And most of the time what we have seen is the out of the box work, probably 70% of the requirement, and 30% of the tweaks we do as per the organization need. I mean, we have predefined set of analytics. Around 200 plus analytics are predefined, which again this provides information across all your applications. It provides you financial information, the workforce information, the information around the revenue and billing. So all the information on costing, planning, budgeting, forecasting. So all these are available predefined. We have predefined set of RVUs, the calculations of work RVUs available. So again, we can leverage that to to run the calculation, the cost allocation calculations. We talked about Adventist Health, where Matthew and team is leveraging this application for a couple of years now. We have a couple of more customer where they have also implemented the similar set of solution for the decision support application. Harbin Clinic is set of 40 clinics which are owned by physicians, so they are using this cost allocation model or decision support solution to give a self-service reporting to their physician for their income statement. Yeah, so that was it actually from our side. I'll open up for question and answer. So if you have any questions, you can write it down on the Q&A box.
Yeah, thank you, Harshal. Yeah, please submit your questions. One question I do know that kind of came up was, Matthew, you mentioned self-service analytics. Can you talk about how you envision rolling those out, or to what level in the organization, please?
Yeah, so we did a parallel project to our cost accounting implementation to provide self-service dashboards to all of our clinical leaders in each department across the org. So as you can imagine, we have several hundred departments. I think it's actually well over 1,000 in total across the organization, with leaders in each of those departments needing access to their monthly financials, their productivity results, staffing information, statistics. So we combined those type of details, as Harshal was pointing out, into a single platform, and we deliver that to the end customers using Oracle Analytics Cloud as our platform, and folks are able to log in single sign-on as part of our solution and pull up a pre-filtered dashboard that shows them their specific departments they're responsible for. So that was a big key for delivering self-service across the organization. Before we had that solution, we were running Excel files and emailing them to leaders. We had multiple teams across the org that were responsible for that at each hospital. So taking some manual routine processes off of folks, giving customers the confidence that they have access to a source of truth information whenever they need it. So that was a big win. As we push forward, we saw some of the dashboards that our cost accounting users have available to them, so that they can take a look at the data. That gives them a great launching pad when they're doing pro forma analysis and types of things where you need to get in to do some customized analysis. We have these source of truth dashboards that they can start with and make sure that they're starting from a solid foundation. So those are some of the self-service tools we've already rolled out. In the future, we see opportunities to give greater transparency to processes that are happening in the background, such as our routine stats accumulation process that's used for productivity and monthly financial reporting. So giving users some additional transparency to that. It's a routine ask, hey, why is my number X or Y, right? So we're going to push forward into that space in the coming months, I think. So lots of opportunity.
That's awesome. Thank you, Matthew. Harshal, I know that a lot of organizations, one of the things that they always struggle with when they're considering moving to cost accounting and decision support is, well, the multitude of healthcare solutions out there and all the different data from different solutions. Can you talk a little bit about our ability and the solution's ability to take data from virtually any source to really give that broader picture?
Yeah, so and again, it's extremely important to have that perspective. So I think Matthew talked about one of the reason why they selected Oracle is because of the scalability. Now what we have is a kind of a predefined architecture and predefined integration model available. So we use those models to practically integrate with any of your source systems, and that way we are eliminating the need of spending a lot of time just to define the integrations. I mean, since these models are predefined, since we have the mapping available with your source systems, the integration becomes pretty much a kind of straightforward. And that's where with the technology that Oracle has to offer, and with the kind of mapping table that we have developed, I think it becomes pretty much straightforward to integrate with practically any application that you have on the source side.
Great, thank you. And have you heard or in our conversations with folks, Harshal, any very creative uses of costing in organizations in healthcare these days?
The last time when I spoke with one of the finance controller, they were planning to use this costing to take some decision on some of the some of the activities which they are performing in the organization but resulting into the heavy losses. So they wanted to take a quick decision on whether they wanted to continue with that or partner with some contractors or a smaller organization to outsource those type of services. So yeah, that was kind of interesting look out on using the costing data.
Awesome. All right, well, one last opportunity for folks to submit any questions. Please take a second to submit your question, and we'll ask Matthew and Harshal. Harshal, can you take, as we're waiting for those last questions or two, can you take a second and talk a little bit about how maybe the concept of telemedicine playing into costing, how that might play in some of the models that we're going to modify and build out over time here in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and it's it's growing with this situation. So more and more healthcare organization have been asking that how it is going to impact the overall costing. And what interestingly we have done is we did a quick analysis on the analysis so of past 6 months of data. So while elective procedures have reduced drastically, and that has impacted negatively for all the healthcare systems, from the cost perspective, since a lot of physicians are providing the services uh, over the video calls or teleservices. I mean, and again, they are being paid, partially or based on the number of calls they take. I think the overall impact on the bottom line of the healthcare system have been balanced as with the revenue they are losing on the elective procedures. So yeah, it's interesting, and yeah, people have started adopting these pieces now.
Yeah, I would echo that sentiment, Harshal. So we've actually started doing some new service delivery models with a product we call Hospital at Home, where we're providing inpatient type care in the home setting, and we've used the costing data that we have to look at reimbursement on similar DRGs across history and refining the new service delivery model to be similar in the profitability as our typical inpatient care. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I was having a few conversation with couple of finance directors of healthcare organizations, and I mean, what they are looking at right now is looking I mean, they are looking at differently with the information. They are not interested in looking at 12 or 18 months of budget or forecast. What they are now interested is looking at how the information that we have and how I can use it in next 3 months to make sure that I do not end up losing a lot of revenue, or I do not end up having a lot of cost without having a corresponding revenue. So I mean, yeah, it's interesting way of looking at the information. Yeah, Jamie.
All right, great. Well, No more. We haven't gotten any more questions. So with that, we'd like to thank everybody for their time and attendance. I know we will follow up with a summary and link to the recording. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Evosys, and we'll link you up to Matthew as well, and get those questions answered for you. Again, thank you for all of your time and attendance, and have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you.